It's good to see you today. I appreciate you tuning in for this brief look into God's Word. Come on with us to the book of Proverbs. We're going to be thinking about having a sound heart. That phrase is used in Proverbs chapter 14 at verse 30. Let's get over there and let's read it together. Proverbs chapter 14 at verse 30. A sound heart is life to the body, but envy is rottenness to the bones. And as you can see, there's a contrast going on. And just to look at the contrast and to think about the verse and to think about a sound heart and what it brings and the benefits of it. Just think about a few points. One is this. Think about this idea of contentment versus jealousy. Again, the verse, a sound heart is life to the body, but envy is rottenness to the bones. How wonderful is it to be content? In the New Testament, we read that contentment with godliness, godliness with contentment is great gain. A lot of folks, they are looking for gain in a different way, and frankly, it amounts to envy, jealousy, greed, all those things, covetousness, all those things. Think about the contrast between contentment and jealousy. Those who are filled with envy, those who are envious, and a person can envy any sort of thing, all sorts of things. Envy can affect a person's life. Jealousy can affect a person's life. And it's affected our lives in times past, to be honest about it. Now think about what sort of mental state you were in when you had a problem with jealousy and envy. Think about what it did to your mind. Think about what it did to your heart. Think about, frankly, how you felt, because that's the contrast with this verse. Again, to look at it, we're talking about things that are life to the body or rottenness to the bones. And what envy does, what jealousy does, what greed does, what covetousness does, is it just eats us up. But with contentment, there is a sound heart. So think about that idea, but also think about peace versus strife. And I understand all these points start dovetailing together. I get that. I understand that. But just think about having a life that has peace. And then think about a life that is filled with strife. Just think about that picture and think about what you want in your life, because that's really what it comes down to. Again, I know it's just a single verse. A sound heart. The Lord wants you to have a sound heart. A sound heart is life to the body. We're not far from a verse, I believe, in Proverbs where it talks about a merry heart does good like a medicine. A sound heart is life to the body, but envy is rottenness to the bones. So just think about a life that is at peace. The New Testament talks about the peace that passes understanding. I understand when Jesus came, he said, I did not come to bring peace but a sword. What he's talking about within that verse is he came to, frankly, find out who's on his side. That's the idea, that we choose. But if we choose him, then we're into the situation where he talks to the disciples and he says, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives it. Not as the world gives it, okay? This isn't necessarily that kind of peace. It's peace with God, okay? It's peace with God through his Son. It's peace with our enemies. It's peace with our families, okay? All of those things start happening as we think about God's idea of peace. But just think about, in general, a life at peace versus a life at strife. And which one would you rather have? Think about freedom versus slavery. You know, sometimes when someone is filled with jealousy and strife and things like that, they are jealous of someone else. They are envious of someone else. I would suggest to use somewhat of a modern phrase. That person who they are jealous of, envious of, they are living rent-free in their head. The envious person has enslaved themselves to the other person. That's what they've done. As we think about a sound heart, how liberating is it? because the person's at liberty. The person's free from those shackles of envy and jealousy and such things as that. So just think about the contrast of freedom versus slavery, and think about what you want for your own life. And then think about love versus hate. When a person is envious, when a person is jealous, and you're jealous of what another person has. It might be your neighbor's donkey. It might be your neighbor's wife. It might be your neighbor's occupation. You might be jealous on account of someone else. I think sometimes you see that where you might have some family member and you want what someone else has for your family member. And it just fills you with animosity. And that's the key. It's animosity. It's hatefulness. Do you truly love someone who you envy something that they have? No. You hate them. You don't think they deserve it. You don't think they should have it. And you'll work to try to take it away from them, frankly. You don't love that person. You hate that person. Now, what does it do to you? Do you have a sound heart, or is it like rottenness to the bones? And I think we know the answer to that. So think about these things that the Lord wants us to have. The Lord wants us to have all the things on the left side of the slide. When we follow the devil, when we follow the world, when we follow carnality, right, the works of the flesh, it's the right-hand side of the slides. It's jealousy, strife, slavery, hatred. Do we have a sound heart? We are known by our deeds, by their fruits you shall know them. So, examine your own life, just like I have to examine my life, and what do we want in our life? And what do we see in our life? If we see strife and hatred, things like that, then chances are there are no chances. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. It's assured. It's assured. But anyway, just a little bit of our daily bread as it is today. Appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you have a good day. Hope to see you tomorrow morning. Thanks for being with us today.